Most times, one of my worst experience as an analyst is seeing a report or dashboard break, probably because of something that I did that cannot be undone. And that can be any analyst nightmare, especially when it goes across multiple pages of reports and dashboard. It can be a very overwhelming and stressful situation. So over the years, I've experienced this, and these are some of the things that I now consciously do to avoid being in that situation. Number one is when working on Power BI mostly, I always keep a separate measure table, different from my source table. And why I do this is to prevent, when the schema changes or the table that we're making use of becomes old and needs to be replaced. It just makes things easy because I know everything, even though the source table changes, something happens to the query, it does not necessarily affect my measure, and it just makes things run smoothly and makes my life easier. The second thing, which is very, very important, is making use of version control, like GitHub. You can also have backup drives where you save your project at the end of every changes that you make. And making use of GitHub is not only for software developers and other tech person, but as data analyst as well. You can make use of GitHub to keep your project version organized, and you can always roll back to previous version if you lose your current file or maybe something happens to the report or dashboard. And the last one, which also is very helpful, is when you're building a project on Power BI, always stay organized from the very get-go. It helps prevent issues on the long run. So make sure the source table names are clear, the measure names are clear and easy to understand, especially when you're having multiple reports and dashboard on the same work file. And also you make sure that the models are clean, you don't have unnecessary table. Trust me, these are things that stresses you out on the long run, especially when the project is a big one. So having a very good or making use of a clear naming system for both your source table, your measures, your reports and all that would save you huge amounts of time. And lastly, these three tips obviously would help, but doesn't eliminate the risk of your report or dashboard breaking. Is part of the experience, and you should always be prepared for that. Always have probably your measures, your those important elements and assets that are very useful for you. Always have them in a separate file as a backup, so that when you need to rebuild stuff, you can do that quickly. So I hope you find this helpful. Say something about probably your experience as a data analyst and some of the things that scares you or can be a nightmare for you in line of your job, and I'll see you on the next one.